Rahul was known as the man who always tried. He tried to quit smoking, tried to wake up early, tried to focus, tried to change his life. Every attempt began with confidence and ended quietly, without drama, without closure. Each failure stacked on the last, forming an identity he never consciously chose but slowly accepted. He was 36 years old, working night shifts in customer support, living alone in a small rented apartment that reflected his inner life. Unfinished, worn, and temporary. His days ran on caffeine, cigarettes, and distraction. His nights were filled with promises he no longer believed. Every January came with resolutions. Every birthday came with regret. Every Monday came with hope that dissolved by Thursday. The real damage wasn't the addiction itself. It was the erosion of trust in his own word. Over time, Rahul stopped believing that he could follow through on anything. He laughed it off in front of others, calling himself undisciplined, joking about his habits. But alone, staring at his reflection in the darkened window after another cigarette, he felt something heavier than guilt. He felt tired of restarting his life. A quiet question followed him into sleep that night, one he could no longer ignore. How long would he keep beginning again without ever arriving anywhere? Chapter 2. The question that stopped him. The moment that disrupted his numb routine came unexpectedly during a family visit. Rahul was smoking outside when his sister's 8-year-old son watched him curiously. The child asked why Rahul smoked, even though he knew it was harmful. Rahul brushed it off, saying that quitting was difficult. The boy thought for a moment and replied that adults should be able to do hard things. The words were innocent, but they struck deeply. That night, Rahul couldn't sleep. He realized he wasn't afraid of quitting smoking. He was afraid of failing again, afraid of confirming what he already believed about himself. The next morning, his sister handed him a small card. She told him about a man who had helped someone change without force or pressure. The name on the card was Professor Sato. Something in Rahul sensed that this was different. Not a solution, not a miracle, just a doorway. Chapter 3. The Ridiculous Beginning. Professor Sato's presence was quiet and grounded. There were no motivational quotes, no urgency, no promises of transformation. Rahul explained everything. The addiction, the cycles, the exhaustion of trying and failing. The professor listened without interruption. When Rahul finished, the old man asked how many promises Rahul had broken to himself over the years. Rahul couldn't answer. The professor explained that change doesn't begin with discipline. It begins with rebuilding trust with oneself. The first instruction he gave sounded almost insulting in its simplicity. Every night before sleeping, Rahul was to place his cigarette packet on the table. Nothing more, no quitting, no reduction, just placing it there. For 2 weeks, Rahul followed the instruction. He still smoked. Nothing changed on the surface. But internally, something shifted. For the first time, he wasn't lying to himself. He wasn't fighting. He was observing. He was present. Chapter 4. The Power of Almost Nothing. After 2 weeks, Professor Sato added a second step. Rahul was to delay his first cigarette of the day by 5 minutes. Only 5. The change was so small that his mind didn't resist it. 5 minutes slowly became 10, then 15. There was no suffering, no rebellion, no dramatic struggle. This was Kaizen in action. Improvement so small that the brain stays calm. Rahul wasn't quitting smoking. He was becoming someone who paused before acting. Over time, the professor introduced moderation instead of restriction. Rahul learned not to binge, not to punish himself, but to stop just before harm. Then came the relapse. One stressful night, Rahul smoked more than usual. Shame returned instantly, bringing the familiar voice that told him to quit trying altogether. But instead of quitting, Rahul returned to the routine the next day. That was when he learned Wabi-Sabi. Imperfection wasn't failure. It was proof of being human. For the first time in his life, a relapse didn't end his journey. It became part of it. Chapter 5. Identity over effort. Months passed. Rahul stopped counting smoke-free days. Instead, he counted returns. Every time he slipped, he returned. Each return weakened the habit and strengthened something else. Self-respect. One day, Rahul realized he hadn't smoked in several days. Not because he was forcing himself. He simply didn't feel the urge. The change wasn't behavioral anymore. It was identity-based. Rahul was no longer someone trying to quit smoking. He was someone who respected himself. That was his Ikigai, not health, not discipline, dignity. Chapter 6. The strength that was always there. The final lesson Professor Sato shared was Ganbaru, the ability to endure without quitting. Life would bring stress again. Temptation would return. The rule was simple: never stop returning. Rahul applied the same system everywhere. His sleep improved, his focus deepened, his work performance changed. 2 years later, smoking was no longer part of his life. But more importantly, escape was no longer his coping mechanism. He trusted himself again. Chapter 7. The Quiet Legacy. One evening, Rahul noticed his nephew carefully placing his school bag beside the door before sleeping. When asked why, the boy said it helped him remember. Rahul smiled quietly. Change, he realized, doesn't announce itself. It spreads silently through example. Rahul's transformation wasn't loud. It didn't inspire crowds. But it reshaped one life, and that was enough. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and comment.